Speaking for myself, I've only played Metroid casually.
All right, so it looks like we are now underway. Let's see what is in the very first chest here today. Just 5 rupees.
That's a disappointing opening, and no vanilla sword from the uncle, so there goes my sword dreams.
Yep. Sword is like, the mythical unicorn seed.
The reason I like bow is because prior to GT, it only blocks 4 items, so it can be almost anywhere, and it's of all the things you can get, it's the only one that's needed, and it's the hardest one to find. Oh, wow!
Well, there's that red cane.
Commentator's curse is strong with this one.
I mean, it's not a curse if you know how to use it. We got a piece of heart in the second chest, so the only thing of any relevance so far is that cane.
Yeah, the 5 rupees probably aren't going to be a game changer. Wow, we're less than 2 minutes in and chat's already calling for an AGA 1 pet seed requirement. Brutal.
Gross.
So I don't think that the Samaria block form versus its exploded form actually does different levels of damage.
Correct.
Okay.
The only thing that the block does for you is doesn't use additional magic. Right? You just let it sit there and hit, then you're not using as much magic.
Yeah, I gotta have someone explain to me how the block gets consumed. Sometimes it seems to be a certain number of hits, and sometimes enemies will consume it. I guess if an enemy's invincible, like a chain chomp, it'll consume it
right.
Instantly.
So it's like it gets all 4 hits at once. Like I think it takes 4 hits is the general idea before it goes away.
Okay, and since they're invulnerable, it consumes them all in essentially in one frame.
So Walther entering the dungeon room a little bit ahead of Space Cowboy.
And both players using the Mario block instead of the pot strats. We got wrong on that one.
So I got a question for you. Is this even randomized?
Well, it depends on what level of difficulty you're on, I guess. They got the blue rupee in Link's house. That would have been the lamp in vanilla. So I'll say, yeah, it was a little bit randomized. Find that early lamp. That is a great item to find. Just kind of makes you feel a little bit cheated, though, because you don't get your free light cone anymore.
Just saying, though, if they had found the lamp at Zelda's chest, it would have been a blue rupee in Link's house.
Oh, you got me there. All right.
But then, of course, the chest after the uncle is also a lamp, and that was a piece of heart. So, meh.
And the lamp probably wouldn't have the uncle wouldn't have Cane of Samaria, though. So I think it's safe to say we're playing the right seed.
All right, so Walther is about to reach the dark portion of escape. Now we get a free light cone in escape, but we also get an actual light cone in escape because lamp.
Yeah, and I think if you get the lamp and the free light cone, it should just light up the entire room. You should get like a double lamp. So we didn't find any bombs from either runner in the green guard item pool. And we've cleared out a lot of snakes there. Also didn't find a bomb, but we did get a mirror, so that's nice.
Yeah, just a little bit late to make that relevant for the escape.
Well, I hope at least one of the players uses the mirror prior to leaving Sanctuary. That's always funny when it dumps you out at the front of Hyrule Castle instead of at the front of Sanctuary.
You wanted to go South Shore first.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like if I wanted to go South Shore first, like just to mix things up, yeah, that's what I'd do, just to try it out. But Walther also trying to farm some bombs here from the rats, not finding any as well. That's gonna do it in the bomb farming department. Oh, Space Cowboy gets one. He elected to go ahead and farm a little more in the dark rooms.
Yeah, that prize pack was really trolling Walther. He just kept getting magic refills, but no bombs.
Well, the good news is there's nothing really important back there. Bad news is it'll probably be on Walther's mind and he'll want to come back for it. So that's the blue mail in the Sanctuary chest.
The worst thing you can find back there, I think, is the power glove. If you find it anywhere else, it's going to be a really quick trip to check those 3 items. But if it's back there, it's going to be a long time before you check it.
And now the tree pool decides to hand you a bunch of bombs.
Yeah, this seed is really trolling Walther, giving him bombs in the tree pool.
I didn't even see what the crab was dropping.
Not any value, just a heart refill there.
That's the flute on the lumberjack ledge.
The flute or the flippers? Did you get a good look at it?
No, it was the flute. I am certain.
Well, that may not be required.
Yeah, there is a chance it's required, there is a chance it's not. And how about some boots?
Well, only Walther did the check at this point. Spaceboy not doing the lumberjack check, doesn't know the flute's going to be there.
Oh, there's our...
This is a super fast progression seed. So some players don't like to check that lumberjack item until you find the boots, but Space Cowboy found the boots right away.
Yep, there is that. Space Cowboy is actually going to go check the bonk rocks, seeing as they are right there. And it just turns out to be a big 20. Walther is now heading into the Blind's Hut location here.
I think Space Cowboy wisely deciding, I'm going to find out what this item is.
We got a
before I get too
sword.
far away.
Got a book. And a red rupee.
If they get a glove upgrade, they can full clear desert. Space Cowboy gave us a very good look at that item going down the steps.
And there is a Master Sword that completes the Aghanim access. You now have access to the flute. How early do you go to Aghanim?
Well, I don't think you rush it. If they find... we have to see a map check, but they might find the flippers. Well,
I just had flashbacks. Anyway,
I was saying that I definitely think you you clear this. You obviously finish Kakariko. You probably do South Shore. If you find gloves, you might even jump into Clear Desert. Aga is going to be a tough climb with only 4 hearts, so there's no reason to rush it.
Yeah. So there's, well, there's a glove.
Speaking of,
so desert is wide open. So I have this weird thing. If I got a glove, I'd be less inclined to go straight to Aga. But if I got a second glove, I'd actually be more inclined.
well, I think if you get a second glove, you're gonna do Dark World pretty early, and if Misery Mire is a pendant, you're probably not going to do Aga unless you're absolutely required to, because otherwise the flute is an optional item.
There is that. But the fact that the second glove would give you access to Misery Mire is kind of why I would want to go for that flute. It just depends on what's required there.
Yeah, that's a tough play. I mean, you're committing 5 minutes into getting 5 items, essentially, which is what's unlocked in the Mire area. I think a lot of people would probably wait until they're bottlenecked, unless they're in the gambling mood and they just want to commit to it.
All right, so Walther is going to go to Bonk Rocks. He may actually go up Death Mountain right now. I mean, we have access to Tower of Hera. We have access to Ether Tablet.
Yeah, that's 6 items they can get, and we do see the Hera is a crystal, so it does make sense to clear that. If they find the hammer or the hookshot, that gives them East Death Mountain access as well. Not a bad play.
And he's got... Now, the issue here is that he's also got... we also found out that Desert was a pendant, which is less than ideal at this point.
I think you're right. I think the Death Mountain at this point makes a lot of sense. It's easy to do with low health. You're going to unlock that extra save point. Might even be worth doing before the South Shore stuff.
Alright, so Walther is now heading to the dam, heading to South Shore. We'll see if he decides to head toward Desert, or if he decides to head to Mini Moldorm Cave.
So chat really trying to get us to argue in favor of the flute. Time saves that you can route, a shortcut up to Death Mountain.
I mean, I am an advocate for the flute if you find the second glove. That's the only caveat. But that's, once again, that's just me with a hunch.
So is that the second glove versus the hammer? Would you act differently?
Oh yeah, hammer I would go all over the place before. I would at least check some of the Dark World and make sure that Mire was a crystal first.
But wouldn't the second glove be essentially the same thing?
Yeah,
though?
the second glove would also let you do that.
Fire rod there in Mini Moldorm Cave. And the second glove!
Well then.
You gotta check Dark World at this point. You gotta know what you're dealing with.
You basically do.
That second glove might delay the trip up the Death Mountain a little bit, because if they can find Hookshot or Hammer before they go up there, they'll be able to clear out the dark side as well.
Yeah, that is very true. The difference between having Hookshot or Hammer and not having Hookshot or Hammer is kind of insane at this point.
Absolutely. And that Skullwoods is now full clearable with the Fire Rod. We don't know what it is yet, but with Blue Mail, it is doable with 5 hearts. Not super easy, but doable.
So Walther is heading to King's Tomb, it looks like. And then I feel like this might be a Death Mountain play after this. Meanwhile, Space Cowboy is going to head down toward the dam and perhaps desert at this point. Or just desert.
Well, I think Walther is giving us our Dark World check. This desert play, this is a little bit more out of the way than the other options available to him. So this will be really interesting.
All right. So Dark World, West Side. Let's see what we find here. Meyer is a crystal. It is crystal number 7. The 2 pendants remaining are Turtle Rock for the green and Skull Woods for the blue. We've got number 6 in Thieves Town as well.
Well, with Meyer as a crystal, then I think as soon as they're done their initial visit here to Dark World, doing Aga immediately makes a lot of sense. You get that second portal access, and then the flute gives you want that mobility advantage for as long as possible, now that you know you have to do it.
So Walther is checking out Skull Woods. I don't know if he intends to finish it or not. He does have the fire rod.
It's the
And
fire
we could
rod.
get a pedestal check here.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say with the mirror there, we might see a 20-minute pedestal check.
I mean, right now you have access to clearing 2 of the 3 pendant dungeons. Now the third pendant dungeon will require a lot more.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Ice Rod and 1 medallion.
And either hammer or hook shot.
yeah, of course. What am I thinking? Definitely a lot more.
But I mean, it could be the bow on the pedestal. Oh, there we got a tempered sword. In the back of, or in the big key chest of Skull Woods, which is about where you want to see a tempered sword. Just throwing that one out there.
Very nice to get that 3rd sword upgrade. That's going to make the Aga Tower climb quite a bit easier as well.
Oh, indeed.
So I will really be surprised if Walther doesn't give us a ped check after he comes out of here.
All right, so I'm gonna be the bad guy here. You ready?
What can be on ped?
No, I'm not. It's not pedestal. I have a plan,
All right.
or not really a plan so much as what I think this is gonna be. I think it's gonna be Hammer and Meyer. I've seen this way too many times, and that's what it's gonna be.
Well, we would need the medallion to show up in a non-hammer locked location, but other than that, once they clear Aga, they'll have everything they need to do that, so absolutely plausible. If they get a little bit more health, though, already having the Tempered Sword, Meyer's not that bad a dungeon to clear. So it's, it feels like it's an early play to go into Meyer, but it's actually really not so bad.
Yeah, true. All right, so Space Cowboy is going to go ahead and head on up to Death Mountain. And there's that Quake medallion.
Well, your hammer in Meyer is getting a little bit more viable now. That's one of your. That's our first medallion.
If Quake is the medallion for Meyer, Walther is doing the ped check, guys. Oh, just a piece of heart. Pedestal officially dead.
Very good early game knowledge to have. And that's actually really nice that they did have the book, because there were a lot of items that could have been on the pedestal.
And Space Cowboy just now getting a look at his map situation. Now, Space Cowboy, if I'm not mistaken, still hasn't checked the Lumberjack.
He did go back and check that after Bonk Rocks.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, pay no attention to this guy.
But it's I don't think he's done well. He just did his Dark World map check on the way up to Hera here, on that little very, very brief Dark World trip.
All right, so welcome to Tower of Hera. Let's see what sort of glorious stuff we find in here. +5 arrow upgrade. Interesting call checking the chest first before heading down.
One of the two items in the first floor is kind of nice. Gives us at least some hope that we might not have to do the basement. So, do you think Walter's heading into Thieves Town?
I imagine so. It's a crystal, and not only that, it's a 5/6 crystal.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things he can check before he goes into Thieves Town, and might not want to go in there without the hammer.
There is that. But he's going in.
This might just be the first 4 chests. That would also be a decent play. And there's our second Tower of Hera item, so we do not have to go into the basement.
Nice. There's the big key in Thieves Town, which we knew was going to happen. Could be a key on Moldorm, or it could just be that the key is in that chest downstairs. That is one of the possibilities.
So it looks like Walther is going for the full clear here. Picked up all his 4 items and is still heading into Thieves Town.
Yep, so... And he did find the small key out here, so there is the potential that there is some item in the big chest. Now, if it turns out to be a dungeon item, then that's not a problem.
So unfortunately for Space Cowboy, not picking up a hammer or hookshot is going to end his Death Mountain tour. Maybe Aga immediately at this point.
I mean, knowing that the flute is going to be required, I think that's a play you might make.
And I think he's making that play. He's got enough health to do it. He's got the fire rod to take care of the stronger enemies. Good. I think it's a good play.
Alright, so Space Cowboy takes care of those ball and chain guards with a couple of fire rod shots. There's no mystery as to what is in these chests in Hackett Tower.
Yeah, just keys. But it's always fun when you can come in here a little bit over-geared and make some of these fights a bit easier. Kind of eases the nerves after all of those NMG runs.
Alright, that's the second dungeon item if I'm not mistaken, so I think there's something in the big chest in Thieves Town.
I do believe you are correct. Space Cowboy has a much better chance of eventually having the hammer when he comes back here, so we might get to see what that is. It's probably garbage, and hopefully Walther will not have to double dip the dungeon.
Alright, so Walther setting up the blind fight. That is 2 phases down, 1 more to go. Doesn't matter what you hit blind with, always takes 9 hits.
Very nice blind fight, only getting hit once.
Oh, and the red mail on blind, so, you know, nice consolation prize for potentially having to come back here.
Well, that's definitely a valuable upgrade with only 6 hearts. Gives you essentially 24 hearts equivalent of green mail. So, a lot of runners don't go out of their way for mail upgrades, but if it's just handed to you on a boss, I'll take it.
Yep. So Walther's now heading down toward the digging game. I think we very well might see the smith chain after this.
Ooh,
Well,
2
that is
digs!
one of the shorter possible digging games.
I had a single dig last night in the race I was watching, so yeah, 1 dig, 2 digs.
Red digs, blue digs?
I was trying to think of something.
Sorry.
Nothing came to mind. But yeah, I imagine you're right. We'll turn the frog and then probably take the chess on the Southern World Tour. That makes a lot of sense because he also has the ability to route in the Bombos tablet.
Oh, yeah.
Both runners are only 1 crystal in at this point, but they've been given so much in the sense of mobility, and despite missing the hammer, they have a lot of other progression items. It's very, very kind to them. Early boots, early mirror makes navigation and routing so much easier.
So my brain was sitting here like, why isn't Walther doing the peg cape? Oh, right, we don't have the hammer. Why don't we have the hammer?
Yeah, silly prerequisites. And we don't have the hammer because it's in Misery Mire.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, that's what I said, right?
Yeah, of course. That's probably where it is.
I'm only about half witty today, that's right.
Yeah, it's only 2 p.m. I think the wit kind of comes out after a few drinks in the evening.
Oh, we got the half magic on the pyramid.
So I'm thinking about it, and I don't think I've ever actually seen the hammer in Misery Mire. I mean, I know it can logically be there, of course, but I can't think I've actually seen it.
I mean, I had it there yesterday, and like 3 or 4 other times, so I've seen it way too many times. There's some bombs for the purple chest. That thing. Chester. And we'll see what's on Bombo's tablet.
Yeah, we're seeing the southeast, sorry, the southwest and the northeast sides of Dark World here. Bombos and Catfish.
And it's Bombos.
Wow. Okay, that's nice, I guess.
Okay. I mean,
guess-
we've established that this is even randomized.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
guess
is it?
one of us could have guessed that probably. So, Space Cowboy gonna finish off Zora, and we get our first hype cave check. Oh, he didn't have Zora money. That's a shame.
All right, so Hype Cave. There's the powder and the shovel.
Fetch Quest Cave.
Well, I mean, it had the powder, so I'm pretty sure that was the best cave in the game.
Oh, I love the powder. Great item. It's always nice to have infinite health in all those Dark World dungeons.
Fetch out of 10. I like it. Walther just goes ahead and checks the Lake Hylia Island here for find a big 20 there. If I were Walther, I might have picked it up. Considering it's on 483.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good observation there. Might not have even really been paying attention how close he was. Maybe the hobo will have a big 20 and he'll get some good karma.
All right, so all rise for the national Swag Duck anthem, as Swag Duck shall now be freed from the statue. There won't be an actual song. I'm just saying.
No song today, Bob?
That's not something we're doing for this tournament.
That sounds like something that you were told not to do.
I'm not saying that. I'm not throwing anyone under any buses.
But yeah, I am a witch. I called the red rupee on the hobo. So Walther does have his hobo money now, or his Zora money.
Alright, so Space Cowboy has gone for the Meyer area. We don't know what the medallion for Meyer is. But the ice rod is in the Meyer shed. Now, I don't think Space Cowboy is particularly inclined to go to Turtle Rock just yet, but the Quake medallion turns out to be required for Meyer, which Walther actually has. It was in Skull Woods.
And that was the first medallion that we found. The order doesn't really matter because logically he could have picked up Bombos first, but it kind of does make you feel like Meyer was was our next place that we have to go. God, I'm off today.
Not only is it in Skull Woods, but it's in the back part of Skull Woods. So you're going to have to head back there to do it. So Space Cowboy's heading over to the Sahasrara and Eastern area.
That's a good point. That is good for Walther because hook shot there. And Sasha saw it. Nice. But I was saying that's good for Walther because it's it might be a little while before Space Cowboy checks the back of Pendant Skullwoods. So this makes a lot of sense from Space Cowboy. I think 16 items or 18 items over here that he can access now in Light and Dark World with the hookshot.
Yeah, just some ridiculous number.
All of the items are over here.
Alright, so heading on into Paradox Cave, 7 items to go with. And there is a bottle. It's empty. But I think that's our first one.
That is our first bottle. We have 3 fetch quests pending at the moment. No hammer, no hammer, no hammer, no hammer.
There's our second bottle and our third bottle.
It's always nice when the tracker can just double click.
That's a lot of bottles.
We got 2 light world items left, Spiral Cave and the Floating Island, but we're gonna pick up these 6 dark world items first, Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave. And that hookshot was available in Sasha's hut, so all of these are things that they could have gotten on the first trip up.
Absolutely. This is like Sphere 2.
Yeah, exactly. But that said, though, it's not exactly like either runner has done any backtracking so far. Just so much has been open to them.
Also gets that half magic.
And Space Cowboy shows us that the Turtle Rock medallion is Bombos, so Walther has both of the medallions he needs to get into both of those dungeons.
Yep. I mean, ideally you hope not to go into Turtle Rock.
Absolutely. But if we have to, at least we're not looking for either.
Yeah, I mean, what could we be looking for going into Turtle Rock?
Oh? Not yet. Not the hammer, not the hook shot. I think bow is essentially the only item.
Speaking of hookshot, we found the hook in the hookshot cave. We found another sword upgrade.
That's very nice. That's probably going to give Walther butter. And given that Space Cowboy is going to have to search for Quake in Skull Woods, he's probably also going to end up with butter.
Alright, so Walther is now going to head up toward Zora. He has the money for Zora.
Yeah, fortunately the hobo came through for him, gave him that big 20, so he's got just enough for Zora. This is the bow, then we'll be in no mode.
Well, once we find the hammer.
I said bow and hammer, didn't I? I swear I said hammer.
Or are we just assuming that the hammer's in Mire, like I said?
Yeah, that we're assuming it's in Mire. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna go with that.
Well, there's a bug net. Not the most important item for sure, but I mean, I wouldn't say no to it if Zora threw it at me.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth 500 rupees if you're already up there and it's lying on the ground for you to pick up. Walther's going to pick up his flute, and given everything else he's checked, Mire area might be where he goes first, but he also has all of Death Mountain, so hard to say.
Alright, so Walther will finally be picking up that flute. Chat momentarily. And it's time for Walther to unleash the duck.
I love watching all the different duck is amok, goose is loose things that Jack can come up with. So creative. Pheasant is
right.
present. That's a good one. I like that.
Yep. I keep coming up with really awful ones, and I'm just not even going to try anymore. Alright, so Walther is now using that flute to head over to the Meyer area. He sees that Quake medallion. He knows he can get in. Will he dip Meyer is the question.
I think he will. With the red mail, he's got plenty of health to take care of this, especially with a tempered sword already. And it's a crystal that he has to clear. Space Cowboy, meanwhile, is going into Thieves Town without the hammer as well. So if there is an item in that chest, both of our players are going to have to backtrack here.
Okay, so Walther heading into Misery Mire.
I'm feeling the hammer hype, Dr. Bob. I really am.
I mean, it could be in here. Just saying.
We saw all of Death Mountain get cleared already. Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, it's like either here or like Pod or like the first chested swamp. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody went into Eastern, so there's a couple chests in there. Like I said, all of Pod, Ice Palace can be. There's a couple chests in Logic there.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. Of course, all of Turtle Rock. None of Turtle Rock, rather. Duh. Third time I did that.
Turtle Rock's where the bow is, remember?
Yeah, well, you just don't think of Turtle Rock as being like hammer locked typically by the time you get there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is. You actually absolutely do need the hammer just to get in. You don't need it within the dungeon at all, but you do need it to get into the silly place.
Yeah, you're always thinking medallions, Candace Maria. By the time you get those, you're typically not thinking hammer because you have it. Picking up the powder where he did is going to make Meyer even easier. There's so many anti-fairies here.
All right. The lobby chest in Meyer. Today holding compass. No real surprises there.
No, and that is both of our dungeon items for Meyer, so we are going to see a vanilla big key, I believe.
Possible. There's one other place it could be, which is, well, you could have it here, or you could have it over to the, yeah, it's here. But we are going to see the vanilla big key location. Is that what you were saying?
I'm going to say it was.
Okay.
I find that my first race of the day is usually my my least accurate and has the most mistakes.
Brain is overrated this time of day.
So I expect Space Cowboy is probably going to follow the exact same route that Walther did. Purple chest into Hyde Cave and Bombos. That'll give him his Bombos medallion, but he did miss out on Skull Woods, so does not have Quake yet.
All right, so we found one of the items in Meyer. It was just 10 arrows in the vanilla big key chest. Well, they're going to use that powder. Does not have a hook shot, so he's going to have to kind of do some fancy footwork to get around here, and that is 300 rupees.
Yeah, so no Hammer Meyer.
Maybe. Yeah, okay.
Space Cowboy also doesn't yet have the knowledge of what's on the pedestal. From his thinking, it still could be the bow, or a medallion.
Viddy has something. What?
No, we saw both items.
Did I see it wrong?
Wasn't there a 5-hour
in the vanilla big key chest? Apparently, I messed that up. I don't know where I saw 10 arrows.
Oh, I didn't even see it. I just heard you say 10 arrows. I just thought that was the second item.
Oh, well, my brain said 10 arrows.
Maybe an enemy dropped the 10 arrows.
Could be. I mean, he's got 10 arrows.
Okay.
Does that count?
That's reasonable, I guess. Well, we'll find out. If Viddy doesn't have an item, at least he has a crystal, so this is still value.
That is true. But it does all of a sudden mean that my dream of calling the hammer in Meyer is suddenly not dead. At least momentarily. We're getting some Brian dash strats here from Walther.
I love dash strats on Vitreous. A lot of lag with the blue cane rather than the cape, but it's still fun to do. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
What?
What the heck?
Okay.
Dr. Bomb! Dr. Bomb! Oh my gosh!
Alright, so the hammer is on Vitreous, which is probably the worst idea.
Dr. Bob, you are not allowed to play the big key guessing game this seed.
Are you sure?
I'm sure, because you're scary with these calls today.
Tell you what, if the bow is in Turtle Rock, I will lay off.
That's fair. Wow.
Wrong.
Vanilla lamp, vanilla bombos, and you called the hammer and misery mire. Wow.
So Walther's going to go ahead and take care of checking desert while he's here, because, why not? I believe that is the technical term for what's going on here.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't go all the way to Lammo if Lammo has an item. That's a lot of time for a single item. He's got so many places he can go at this point. Walther's never been up to Death Mountain, so there's over 20 items up there for him.
Yeah, and Walther also doesn't have that hook shot yet, so he has no idea. He previously didn't have this open to him. With the hammer, he does, but Hookshot Cave's not going to be open to him. So he may not get that sword upgrade if we recall it was in one of the upper chests. Unless he has suddenly learned how to hover.
That is a good point. He still has to do the Hera and the Spectacle Rock checks, though, so there's still a lot of things up here for him to get.
It looks like Walther is going to go ahead and do the checkerboard cave check real quick. While Space Cowboy is going to go digging.
And I don't think we saw Gina's cave either, so this might be our first check in there.
I think Space Cowboy checked Gina's cave a while back. Alright, so Space Cowboy is now heading back into the Dark World. He might be doing a Skull Woods check here, which would be good for him. Would get him the Quake Medallion, which he needs to get to that hammer.
This is absolutely where he needs to go at this point. This will get him Quake, and this will also get him his 4th sword progression. Assuming he does standard front-to-back routing.
And that does look like what's about to happen here.
So Desert Palace was a bust for Walther. Heading to the next best place, Death Mountain. So this is interesting. So Walther is going to be able to full clear that Death Mountain, everything except for Hookshot Cave. He'll also be able to go into Spike Cave if he wants to, which is something Space Cowboy couldn't do. Do you think he's going to head into Turtle Rock? He has other places he can go. He can full clear Ice Palace. He can do part of Swamp.
Yeah, I'll accept the hook shot. Yeah.
And it's four places in Swamp he can check before he's hookshot locked. Those 3 chests in Eastern, early game, they make a lot of sense to check, but at this point in the game, you kind of don't really want to go there without the bow.
Space Cowboy taking the vanilla way to the big chest after having a little bit of trouble with that bomb jump. Certainly nothing wrong with that. Just finding a map, however.
Well, I'm going to call it. I think we see a Turtle Rock dip, looking for the bow and the hook shot from his point of view.
All right, that would be an interesting play, and it might work. So you can't actually hookshot to the big chest. You can hookshot off of it. And he was trying to use the dash strats, but it just didn't happen. So Walther's going to go ahead and take care of Hera, which we know is required.
Absolutely. And Space Cowboy did pick up his last sword. Quake is the last item here in Skull Woods. And he has yet to do the pedestal check, so it looks like we're going to see that first.
Yep, pedestal check happening right now on Space Cowboy's screen. So for those of you who missed the giant disappointment that was pedestal, here you go.
Was Quake on Mothler or the other chest?
Chest in the front.
Alright, well that'll save him having to kill Moth then. And I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to go immediately and do Tower of... I'm sorry, not Tower of Hera. Misery Mire after this.
Space Cowboy finds the Quake Medallion, and knowing that the pedestal is not required, does not have to go fight Moth. And Space Cowboy, of course, falling victim to my least favorite part of killing Aghanim.
Yeah, that double mirror save and quit is always a pain, especially if you forget about it.
And Trolldorm is having none of Walther's sass right now. He's saying, go home, do it again.
At least he didn't get knocked down the middle.
Yep. But Space Cowboy has fluted and then immediately switched to Quake. I wonder where he's going.
I think he's going into Desert Palace.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you think that. I'm kidding.
Quake Lambo strats, man.
That seems it seems like it should work on some level. Like when he's underground, you just use Quake and it should hurt him, but no.
Wouldn't that be great if you timed it right, it just instantly kills everything that's underground?
And there we go. Walther finds the second item in Hera, actually saving that chest for last. Another interesting move. Yeah, I think Space Cowboy, once he gets the hammer here in Mire, will be missing just the bow.
I think Turtle Rock makes a lot of sense for Walther being up here. I think for Space Cowboy, checking the desert items and then maybe going to Ice makes a little bit more sense, or Swamp, since he already has the hook shot.
Yeah.
That definitely makes a lot more sense. 2 crystals he can full clear.
Alright, so Walther's gonna check the Cave of Bottles. Alright, so Space Cowboy is going to go check the cutscene room. Walther is heading to Super Bunny Cave. We'll see if that Turtle Rock dip happens. The fact that he's not going to the top of Turtle Rock makes that a little less likely in my brain, but who knows.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think because you fall down the mountain for Spiral Cave, so I think climbing back up here in the Dark World is basically the fastest way where he places Mirror. So I can't rule it out yet. Space Cowboy is going to be getting his hammer very soon, and he's just going to be a bow away from go mode.
So it's called Super Bunny Cave because if you get there without the moon pearl, which is possible, and you fall down in the hole, you will be in what's called the Super Bunny state and able to open those chests. So it's one of the few caves you can get to in the Super Bunny state.
And you have to do that by using the Turtle Rock portal and then walking down there. Is that correct?
No, it's from the... It's definitely from the bottom portal, because otherwise you wouldn't be falling in the hole. You have to fall in the hole or you don't get the Super Bunny glitch. So Walther is going to open Turtle Rock. We'll see if he goes inside. I mean, if you're opening it right now, why wouldn't you go inside?
Well, he switched to Red King, so I definitely think he's going into this point.
This is quite the play. There are quite a few places Walther can go looking for that bow and hook shot. But Turtle Rock can contain them, so that is a interesting play you could make.
And there
At least in your mind, they can contain them. We know that the hook shot's not here.
Well,
But
this
the bow
actually
could be.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, this could actually work out extremely well for Walther. Even if the boat isn't here, simply picking up the green pendant will lead him into Sasha's hut, and that will get him his hook shot.
Ah, that is true. You know what else would lead him over to Sasha's hut?
The bow. Either way, I think it's he's going to get his hook shot pretty soon after clearing Turtle Rock.
There's a couple of small keys.
So Space Cowboy, not using dashes, using the standard NMG sword spins. Those are always so much fun to watch.
Alright, so Space Cowboy finally has that hammer. We'll see where he goes next. Seems likely that a Ice Palace or Swamp Palace play might be forthcoming. Desert is pretty much the first place you might go, but if you want to avoid those pendant dungeons, I think he might have already been into Desert.
Yeah, looks like Swamp. You know, everyone says, you know, Ice and Swamp are the ones you save for last, so you can go mow them, blah, blah, blah. But they, you know, they have a lot of items, and they're crystal dungeons that he can full clear, so, you know, I say go for them.
Yeah, I mean, that does seem reasonable at the time. Though I would go Ice first, because hashtag Swamp is always garbage.
Well, now you guaranteed the bow is there.
Yeah, that's probably true. Or not.
As we were saying, the bow is, of course, in Turtle Rock.
All right, I'm not putting a number in for the big key guessing game. Just not doing it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to sit this one out. Well, I do not blame him at all for noping out of the dungeon at that point, and that's also going to lead him to Pod Easterns, so he'll get his hook shot. So wow, nice call for Walther. Dipping in just long enough to pick up the bow and no further.
Okay, so there's a boomerang in Spike Cave. That sounds like fun.
It definitely makes sense to route that in when you did. You're gonna have to save and quit, so you might as well do it. It's not too time consuming, and he's still looking for the hook shot.
It's very interesting that Walther went ahead and grabbed the bow and left from Turtle Rock. He's going to pod. I got these words mixed up in my head.
I agree with you. I mean, based on what we know, that was the perfect play. He's going to get his hook shot right here. But with all of the remaining items in that dungeon, as well as Mimic Cave and the Green Pendant, I really expected him to full clear that. I don't think with everything they have at only an hour 6 that they're going to really feel behind at that point. But it was the right gamble to make, because Walther is now in go mode at an hour and 6.
All right, so Walther's got the hook shot and heading into pod. Clear this out as soon as he can. I imagine this will just be a search for the big key.
Yeah, this really is the dream go mode for Walther. Being able to do the pod Eastern combo in go mode, didn't have to double dip either of these dungeons, and then being able to go mode ice and swamp as well immediately afterwards. And I think chat, yeah, I think Raquel, yeah, he's probably feeling very, very lucky. Routing can only do so much, but he gambled Skull Woods, and that gave him early Quake, which gave him early Hammer. He made the dip into the Pendant Turtle Rock, and then immediately left after finding Bow. Everything is going Walther's way. So I think Space Cowboy did left side swamp before heading to the back. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I got a little distracted. So there's the big chest on Argus. Or big key. Yeah, the big chest is on Argus. How'd that happen?
I'm not sure that sprite would fit. That would be fun to see.
Probably not.
Well, he's going back in at least to check the big chest, so there's still one item there. Like I said, I don't know if he did left side or not. But just look at Walther, though. I found the big key and the small key, and is already gone to the back.
Wait, was the big key in the first chest?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you don't often get to go mode pod, but this is go mode pod.
Okay, yeah, Space Cowboy's going left side now, so.
So it's always possible that Walther does check Hookshot Cave on his way to GT.
Oh, Big Key was in Big Key chest. That makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah, but of course, yeah, because it's a vanilla location. Why not? But I would not be surprised at all if Walther never picks up another sword upgrade. As fast as Hookshot Cave is, he just doesn't really need anything else at this point.
Yeah, I mean you got tempered swords, you got hammer, you got you know, you don't have silvers. You might want silvers.
If you pick up silvers, you know, just because it's in your way or from a boss, I mean, it's definitely nice and you'll use it, but I don't think you go out of your way at all looking for it.
Seems reasonable.
And that hammer in Misery Mire, I mean, I think a lot of players would have checked Eastern Pod. They would have dipped both looking for the hammer. Yeah, even without the bow. The fact that both runners avoided those areas entirely and did Mire first is just, wow. I don't even know what to say.
Alright, so Walther going to go ahead and do Eastern Palace now, which is also definitely required.
Yeah, this is the other red crystal, but we will not be seeing a Pyramid Fairy check because he has everything he needs. So unfortunately, Space Cowboy heading into ice, still looking for the bow, so it's going to be yet another full clear of this dungeon, which is unavoidable for him, unfortunately. We might even see Walther heading into ice before Space Cowboy finishes.
Well, there sure are a lot of explosives in Eastern Palace, let me tell you that.
Yeah, those Stalfos are planning something.
I'm gonna have to put the Stalfos on the watch list, though generally if someone who had no skin or organs walked up to my ticket counter, I probably wouldn't sell them an airline ticket.
Well, we found the silvers just now in the first Ice Palace chest.
Well, okay.
That's
pretty unlikely that Walther's actually going to pick that up.
That is one of the chests that can sometimes be checked in Go mode if you're still looking for something because it's quick. But I don't think Walther's going to check that at all.
I mean, it's a chest that some people will check when they Go mode, and some people will just be like, I'm in actual Go mode. Space Cowboy is leaving the pegs up, so he's going to do the bomb jump.
Yeah, it might cost him a little bit of time or save him a little bit of time, depending on where the keys are positioned in the items. But it's not so bad. If you end up finding your items early, you could just complete the dungeon.
And Eastern being a giant pain in the rear end on account of having the big key in its normal location. What is it with big keys in their normal locations today?
I don't know. Is that way
in Pod? Is that way in Eastern?
This is like a 10% vanilla seed.
I mean, I wonder what the odds of generating a seed where absolutely nothing is vanilla is. It seems actually pretty low. Especially because there are so many items that are repeated.
Well, oh, you mean like absolutely including heart pieces and everything like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It seems astronomically low. Not as low as generating actual vanilla, but still, really low.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's it's possible, but yeah, I wouldn't even know how to calculate that.
Oh, right. Small. Yeah. With the small keys, I think that actually is impossible. Mainly because Pod is going to have some small keys in the same spot.
Well,
And the
out
Skull Woods key is just doing its thing. But we don't count that one.
break out the PhD and run the numbers.
I'll have to figure it out at some point. So if we don't count the Pod or the Skull Woods chest, it's always vanilla. Otherwise, it's a trivial exercise.
So I like seeing in Go Mode Swamp whether the players will check the bottom two chests in the back half of Swamp and the one chest in the waterfall room in Swamp. I think those chests are the best indicators of how go modey they are. I don't know
how comfortable they are with completing the game in their current situation.
Yeah, if they skip that waterfall room chest, and then they are absolutely not checking anything because that is the easiest one to check. And if they skip the bottom two, but do check the waterfall one, then they're probably going to be checking things in GT that are like along the way, like the upstairs ones.
All right, so Walther now heading into Swamp. This should be a much faster clear than Space Cowboy's clear.
Well, Walther's route is pretty much known at this point. The question is, where does Space Cowboy go next?
Well, I mean, he's got Ice done, he's got Swamp done. I mean, he could either go Pod and Eastern looking for the bow, or he could go Turtle Rock looking for the bow. And we gotta hope he goes to Turtle Rock.
I think Pod and Eastern are probably more likely. He can combo them together, and if he finds the bow, he's where he needs to be to clear them. Either way, he's making progress towards finding big keys in those dungeons.
Looks like he's gonna do the magic bat check here. That's certainly a possibility. So Walther's sitting on exactly 3 to the 6th rupees.
Nice. Yeah, I think checking these overworld spots, that makes a lot of sense too. If you can find it before diving into a dungeon. Oh, and there's the unneeded medallion.
Oh, okay. So Ether on Magic Bat, you say?
I do. All right, so Walther skips the bottom two chests and the top chest, so he's in ultimate.
He's not getting silvers.
He's not getting silvers. He's probably not even checking, like, mini Homosaur room chests in GT. Alright, so what's in Dark World here for Space Cowboy? Is it a graveyard ledge, maybe? Or Thieves Town Big Chest? That would be awful. Hammer pegs.
Alright, so Walther takes down Argus. That is his 6th crystal. He'll be heading into Ice Palace for the 7th.
Yeah, not gonna go back and check the big chest. Yeah, so it looks like this will be our graveyard ledge for Space Cowboy, and then I think he's done Northern Dark World because we already saw Catfish from him. We didn't see Zora because he didn't have any money for that. That's also a possibility.
Oh yeah. Basically, Space Cowboy's taking care of all the overworld checks before dipping into one of these other dungeons. Either dungeons requiring the bow, or dungeons that aren't required.
Well, the combined Pod Eastern has more items than the combined Trotter Rock, Green Pendant, and Mimic Cave. Plus, that's progression towards Crystal, so I do expect him, and it does look like where he's headed.
Alright, so it does look like Space Cowboy's going to head to Pod, which is going to be another disappointing play.
Yeah, we will get our first look at what's in the back. Probably a mushroom sending him to another fetch quest.
Ugh.
Nice bomb jump. Walther gets that on his first try. I like how Twitch chat is basically turned into a math lesson at this point.
I will go ahead and make one comment on that. 216 factorial, you kind of have to divide through by the number of indistinguishable items. So, like, divide by 28 factorial for all the big 20s, divide by 24 factorial for the piece of heart, and so on. And then there's the logic that just completely rules out a bunch of other things.
And then some of those things are mutually exclusive as well.
Alright, now that being said, it's time for Walther to fight Cold Stare. Now this is only going to be Tempered Sword instead of Gold Sword like Space Cowboy did. This is going to be quick. So upon picking up this 7th crystal, it'll be time to start the big key chest game. Again, it's our big key guessing game. That is 1 to 22. So put your guesses in as to where you think the big key is going to be. Again, Sour.
Are you still disqualified from this one, Bob?
I'm holding off for now. I might put one in here in a second.
Well, just in case you decide to join in later, we all know what you're gonna pick, so I'll refrain from picking that one. I'm gonna pick 2 because you started to say digging game instead of big chest game, and the digging game was 2, so I'm gonna go with 2 for this as well.
Okay. So my guess would have been 14, of course, for Bob's chest, but about 14,000 people guess 14 whenever I'm commentating now.
Well, you do get the type to start command, so you do get a little bit of an advantage.
Well, I like to be fair and like wait a little bit after the start command, because that it's just a little unfair if I type the start command and then just go start 14.
Yeah, that would be unfair indeed.
All right, so Walther is now heading up to Ganon's tower. Gonna enter around 126:30 or so. When he enters, we will be cutting off this big key guessing game.
Very nice time to be heading into GT.
Not getting a response from the bot on the stop. There it is. Apparently my connection went belly up for a second.
So, just a big heart container on the torch, so the upstairs anti-fairy will remain in its altered state.
Yeah, and it also looks like Walther didn't go right to chest first, so we may just see a complete mix-up here in our numbers. That was chest number 5 for Walther. We got number 6 with a 300, and we've got 7 with a piece of heart. After Walther found 3 small keys in that Stalfos room, he decided to head over for Dark Magician strats.
Yeah, don't see those used too often these days. And Space Cowboy clearing deserts. I guess there was one item left on the ammo.
Alright, so chest number 8, 9, 10, 11. Nothing.
Wow, he's going full right side.
Yep. I mean, if you've already gone to the left side, going full right side is probably the way to go. So it turns out that Bob's chest on this route would have been number 12. We'll see if the big key is there.
Looks like Space Cowboy is on his way up to Turtle Rock.
Alright, at least that's going to end our long national nightmare of whenever Space Cowboy gets that bow.
And just a big 20 and 12.
Alright, so Bob's chest did not have it today. I don't have to feel like a complete witch.
Walther running really low on arrows here is going to have to be careful doesn't drop below 4 before heading upstairs.
He's got exactly 4. Oh, there it is. That's the vanilla chest, isn't it? What is it with vanilla big keys in this seat?
That is vanilla chest, and that is number 13. So, congrats on Crystal for guessing 13. Walther being very careful there on the mimics, having exactly the arrows he needed to kill those.
Got a drop of 5, and there's also a pot in here that has another 5, if he hadn't found any.
Yeah, that extra 5 drop was a nice safety though, because those BMOSs can knock you off. This is a surprisingly little health for Walther.
Yeah, not even a second row of hearts. But I mean, we got red mail, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's not an issue. I mean, he also has powder too, so he'll be able to top off right before the Moldorm 2, at the very least. But it's just surprising to see only 1 row at this point in the game. The bow is in the vanilla Turtle Rock, vanilla Big Heat chest, so it'll be the next chest that Space Cowboy checks.
I don't know what sort of frustration Space Cowboy will express on this. I doubt it. I doubt he will express much because, you know, Space Cowboy has followed what you would consider a pretty, you know, reasonable route, and I think he may think his opponent may have also gotten trolled in this way, so he may not feel like the race is over.
Yeah, you're an hour and 33 minutes in. You've already cleared Swamp Palace and Ice Palace, and you have the big keys for Pod and Eastern, so you're just dipping back in to kill the bosses, essentially. So yeah, you might not actually feel too far behind. You'll be regretting, you know, not having done the gamble, but as far as feeling behind, I don't know.
Walther's about to show us lamp strats in the second torch room here in GT. We didn't get the final lamp strat, though. That one's always fun. You can actually reach that lamp with the gap between you and the wall and the floor there.
Yeah, I've never actually seen someone do that. I know you can do it. I haven't seen it firsthand.
Walther gets that full refill on the magic right at the end, just where it goes. And a dash and a spin here is the plan to take down Trolldorm 2, and takes care of it. Walther getting 10 arrows out of the final chest. I mean, if that... Checking that chest, I can understand, because it takes virtually no time, and you could get silvers out of it.
Yeah, Space Cowboy is down a small key, it looks like.
Oh, that's gonna be unfortunate.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to get to the boss. So I thought that he full cleared this initially, but I guess he only checked a few spots and then exited out.
Yeah, I think there weren't enough keys to get to the back.
Oh, yeah, he didn't have the bow, so he couldn't check the bow locked side. That's where the keys are.
Walther experiencing a bit of a desync on Aga 2, but gets the job done. It's time for the Ganon fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, Space Cowboy, we did see the rage slashes there. Not when he found the bow, but when he missed the key. Almost one cycles that, but still a very nice phase 1. I think he was 1 hit short in each of those phases.
All right. So Ganon now enters phase 3. 1 slash per jump here. Just gotta wait for him to stop teleporting all the way around the arena.
He's being pretty cooperative with the teleports today.
That's 1. Ooh.
With half magic and fire rod, you can definitely get some triples in.
Yeah, so the trick to landing a triple is to light the torch like just before he would throw a fire bat or something. That way he doesn't, and you can catch him on the way out.
Yeah, he's not getting great positioning from Ganon though to line up the triples. He's always on the other side.
All right.
He gets the 12 that he needed.
And there we go. Walther finishes off this race. That will be an approximate 1:39.05 for finish time there.
Wow, what a race. GG's for Walther. Get your GG's in chat, guys. And that keeps Walther in the competitive mode, going on to 4-2. Still has a chance at brackets. Hey, Walther, GG.
Hey, thank you.
Well played, you giant luck sack. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I felt my brain was telling me that I should probably have a pretty good position in this race when I found the bow. Mm-hmm. But every time I hit go mode, I just get so nervous anyways. Like, I always feel behind even though I shouldn't sometimes.
Well,
yeah,
that's everything lined up for you in that seed. Getting Quake when you needed it from Meyer, getting Hammer, the bow. This was your dream seed.
Yeah, when I went up the mountain, I was like, oh, this detour that I didn't really give me too much. All I got was like Quake and Bombos, and both of them turned out to be required. Because I did the whole Smith sequence. And
But yeah, going into Turtle Rock when you did basically made this seed for you.
Yeah, the only thing I found up on Death Mountain, because I wanted to go up to Death Mountain when I had hookshot or hammer, so I could do like the entirety of the light world of Death Mountain. But the only thing I got, except for the crystal in Hera, was like bottles, and I was like, no, that's not good enough. I need to go into Turtle Rock, and as soon as I find something, I'll be out of there.
There you go. There was one other thing you missed up on Turtle Rock because you didn't have the hookshot, and
Yeah,
that was the fourth sword
Okay, yeah,
in
that
Hookshot Cave.
I'm not too bummed out about that. Silvers would have been worse if I.
Silvers were the first chest in Ice Palace,
Okay, yeah.
which we thought some people might have checked, but you were in like super go mode.
Yeah, I didn't want to check anything except because I know that I'm gonna have to open a couple of chests in Ganon's Tower, so if I get it in there, then it's fine. But otherwise, when I have tempered, I don't really need the silvers too much. Even though my silverless Ganon was pretty bad.
We were a little concerned that you might dive into full clear ice and the first half of swamp trying to find the hookshot, and we were really hoping that the green pendant would lead you over to Sasha's hut, and then of course you found the bow, which led you exactly where you needed to go. Anyway,
Yeah, if I hadn't gotten the bow from Turtle Rock, I would probably gone to ice instead.
All right, so Space Cowboy is just now heading over to Ganon's Tower. As we stated, you had a pretty sizable lead after checking Turtle Rock, mainly because Space Cowboy ended up full clearing both ice and swamp,
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
and actually dipped Pod and Eastern as well before finding the bow.
Yeah, if I went over to Sashla earlier, I might have gone into swamp as well before going to Turtle Rock.
well, I do have one question about your Turtle Rock routing, and you definitely made the gamble when you found the bow. To no battle there, absolutely a great play. But at the time, you were still looking for hookshot. Did you think about full clearing that dungeon?
When I went into Turtle Rock, I had the mindset of if I get hookshot, I leave. If I get bow, I leave. So as soon as I saw that bow, I was like, okay, let's go do Eastern and Pod. That's like what, 8 chests plus another 3 in Sashla. So I was just hoping to find a hookshot over there.
It worked out for you this time.
All right, so can we talk hammer for a second?
Let's talk about the hammer.
Because how about no? That's what I think of that hammer.
Yeah, at the very least, you could full clear Meyer without the hammer. So
Were you expecting it would be in there, or was that just a nice find at the end?
like I wasn't like sure it was going to be there, but it was definitely one of the things I hoped for, instead of like having to go into Ice Palace or something without the hammer.
Yep. Very, very nice that the hammer turned up in a dungeon you could clear. As opposed to some other item. Like, well, I guess you could clear Turtle Rock, but you didn't want to.
Yeah, one of the things that were on my mind as well was I left the Land Molas, even though they had an item, and that would probably have been like one of the last spots I would return to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but both of you guys made that that early Thieves Town play and ended up leaving the item there. But you got the red mill off blind, and you you really didn't have too much health in this seed, so that I think actually made a difference.
Yeah, I'm finding tempered. I'm not sure how early Space Cowboy went into Skullwoods, but the sword upgrade from Skullwoods was definitely nice to see.
He actually had the upgrade from Death Mountain when he went into.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. If they went over to Sashula early, they could have checked everything on Death Mountain more or less.
Oh wait, no, he didn't. I'm making that up. He didn't have that. He couldn't have, because he couldn't have gotten to. Wait, yeah, he did. I don't know. I think he did.
He found swords at some point.
Because he's got butter and silvers. The rest of this game should be pretty easy for Space Cowboy to pull off.
Well, I think the Skullwood sword was actually his last one, because we were saying that he would only get that because he had to go there for Quake.
Right. Oh yeah, so he actually had all four when he went into Mire, because he had to have been there for Quake.
Yeah, I was hoping Silvers would be in the last chest after Moldar, because that would have been quite hilarious, because I only had 1 arrow at that point.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, it was some kind of arrows, but they weren't silver.
Yeah, they're not very effective against Ganon.
You looked pretty nervous heading into the Mimics with only 4 arrows in your quiver.
Yeah, I know that there's 5 in the room next, in the second Mimic room, but I was just hoping that I wouldn't miss any arrows on the first ones.
And of course, you got a 5-arrow drop in the first room, so you were fine.
Yeah.
Space Cowboy is right about to start his climb up the gauntlet.
All right, Walther, so do you have anything else you'd like to say about the seed before we can continue the...
Not really. The Vanilla Bombos was pretty hype.
Well, Bombos, yeah.
Yeah, but except for that, it was a fun one, especially since my routing turned out to be pretty good. And thanks for commenting and tracking. I'll jump out of here and let you finish the race.
Good luck in 4-2 next week.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so Space Cowboy now entering the Land Molas fight. We've got silver arrows being thrown out. Missing the second one, getting the third one, so assuming we can hit Land Mola here, we will get on the second cycle.
Yeah, he's got silvers and the 4th sword, so he's got everything he could want.
Good old Kana Samaria Wizrobe rooms. Space Cowboy going with the right side strat on the second Wizrobe room, which is something I haven't seen in a while, but it does work.
I didn't notice this, Dr. Bob, but chat pointed out that Walther finished without a shield, and Space Cowboy has 2 shields.
Interesting. I imagine they were both in, ice or swamp or something.
Well, we picked up one in GT on the left side,
okay.
the chest before Rando room.
Right, because he didn't go left side. Walter didn't.
I know some people, if they get the shield, they try to have it stolen by the enemy, just because it put some lag frames in the game.
I thought that was just tear.
Tear always does it. I think other people will just do it if if it's convenient. But I think Tear will actually try to route that in.
Did you say last shield is which? You see that from the credits, I guess?
Must have been, because neither of them has the mushroom.
And Space Cowboy now going to be heading over to the AGA 2 fight. I mean, so to have to full clear ice and swamp and double dip Eastern and Pod and only be about 15 or so minutes behind seems pretty good to me.
I was just thinking the same thing. I mean, I was thinking we're like a 16-minute or so deficit. He's going to have a really fast Ganon fight with his gear. And he went... He took a lot of extra time, unfortunately, finding that bow. Just shows how much fortune that Walther had in that early route. This seed opened up so many divergences, and everything just lined up for Walther.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so Space Cowboy now going to enter the Ganon fight. This will be a much more academic exercise for Space Cowboy, as we've got Butter Sword and Silver Arrows.
And that's done phase 2.
And because there is no kill like overkill, Space Cowboy just going for the infinite slash there.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if you could buffer those extra 4 slashes and skip phase 3?
I agree.
A little premature with this over there. I like that.
I mean, he's got plenty, why not?
Yeah, he's having fun with it.
We did find the arrows in Ice Palace. Alright, so no torch glitch, but torch glitch is not nearly as important when you've got the... Oof! Oh!
Whoa, that was a close one.
The saves. And the double to finish it off.
Wow.
Alright, and it sounds like we have been joined in the chat by Space Cowboy. Congratulations on finishing, and I'm assuming you understand what happened here.
I'm sick and tired of these bloody seeds being, here's the whole world, 10 minutes in, and you have to find one item, which is put in a spot that logically should be one of the last places you decide to check, because it's a pendant and it's tucked out in the middle of nowhere. Tired of these seeds, Jesus.
Yep. It's not the best situation you can find yourself in.
3 of my seeds in this tournament have been, oh, you have access to the whole world minus what's locked behind this one item you're looking for, which isn't very much. Now go and find it. And it's been tucked away in random places that have all sucked.
And semi-ironically here, the thing that actually caused you the most grief was that you found the hook shot. So you went up to Death Mountain before doing Mire, whereas Walther went up to Death Mountain after doing Mire and didn't have the hook shot, so he didn't find anything useful. So he's like, I'll go into Turtle Rock.
That explains the time gap then. It was already bad enough with the hammer buried on Vitreous.
Yeah, exactly. The hammer was some sort of unholy troll of doom.
I would have loved for the hammer to have been the last item to be needed. That would have been gorgeous. I wouldn't complain about it then.
Well, the hammer worked out basically the same for both of you guys. You both ended up, gambling on that one item in Thieves' Town being left behind. Ended up, not hurting you guys. Found the hammer, in the same order. He had picked up Quake a little bit earlier, but that still wasn't a big time conversion. Really, it came down to go moding 4 crystals versus looking for the bow.
Yeah, it was fast and then it was slow because the whole world was open, but it wasn't really open. So, and I told myself, I realized, Turtle Rock found the medallion. I'm like, TR before Pod Eastern maybe? And I'm like, they're crystals. Logically, they can be in there. That's why I blew all the keys, though, in Pod early in.
Right. We're not going to talk about the Pod key situation. Figure that'd be a giant pain at this point.
Pretty much, if you can blow all your keys in the front, can't get access to the back, there's no point going to the back. Simple
That
enough.
is true.
So, no, and came in, I messed up a few things, both on routing and remembering whether or not I'd done the location or not. Apparently, I started getting things mixed up with a seed I did last night.
Oh, that's always a pain when your memory's too good, right? It's like you remember stuff you did last night because your memory is too good, but now you can't remember what you did now.
Yeah, I would have loved to see like the one I did last night. That was a 120 something instead of scour the world. Too many of these seeds come down to that. So, what can you do?
Yep. But thanks for coming in, and congratulations on finishing once again. It's gonna put you on 3-3. Not mathematically eliminated.
No, I'm eliminated.
More than likely.
There are far too many people above me on the chart with a higher percentage of opponent win compared to me. So I've got, I think, coming in this week, there were 40-something people with the higher 3-2 record as far as the mathematical stuff that they were calculating. So I'm out.
All right, that's understandable. But there's still one more week left in this. You think you'll go ahead and play that last match?
Probably, if only to see if I can finish positive.
All right, that seems good. Anything else you want to say about this before we wrap things up?
Not really, unless y'all had any questions.
No, we basically, got to experience all of your pain on stream here. Once we saw that bow, we're like, oh no, he's gonna clear all these dungeons.
And I did.
Yeah, I don't have any questions that wouldn't make you more frustrated, so I'm gonna pass on that.
Nah, it's fine. It's done. It's over. I lost, so be it. Still finished below 2 hours, so I can't complain too badly, I suppose.
Yeah, and with all the extra stuff you had to do, I think all things being equal, if you guys had found things in the same order, you might have won this.
Did y'all like my mirror out of desert whenever I realized that there was nothing worth getting on Landmo? Don't need the pendant.
Yep.
Well, I said I wouldn't feel bad about going 4-3 or 3-4, however it ends. Only 116 people are move forward here, so most of us are eliminated from the Swiss rounds.
Very true.
All right.
But yeah, thank you for putting on the show and tolerating the scene. It was fun to watch, and I hope at some point you watch the VOD. And it was a nice match.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it in a day or two. So, see if Bob cursed me or not again.
I will spoil it for you right now. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, that hammer you weren't so happy about finding. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm not gonna lie. I called both the hammer and the bow. I'm the worst. I called it in a this would be the trolliest possible thing way, but
Close enough. Yeah, 162 at 216. That's
Yeah.
not too bad for the time. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and hop out and see all y'all later.
all right. So I want to go ahead and thank Walther and Space Cowboy once again for showing off their talents today, and I want to thank Iceman, who was on the tracking today. Make sure to thank him for his work, and of course to Tiru for joining along with me in the commentary department.
Thanks, Dr. Bob. I'll go ahead and add my thank you to Iceman for tracking the Speed Gaming staff for the restream. Of course, everyone in Twitch chat for keeping us honest. Point out that there's another race at 4 o'clock on Speed Gaming 2. And I always like to just conclude my own commentary by recommending that anybody who's tuning in and seeing this for the first time, that they head on over and give Rando a try for yourself, because it's a lot of fun and it's a great community.
Indeed. And of course, if you enjoyed what you saw here today, the best way to help those people involved is to give them a follow here on Twitch, and everybody would appreciate that, I'm sure. So with that, I will just say that I have been Dr. Bobtastic.
I've been Tira. Pleasure to join you, Dr. Bob.
All right. See you later.